When I joined the business, I started out as one of Premier's product managers, a good perch from which to learn the intricacies of our company and the dental industry overall. My father, Gary Charlestein, was then CEO of Premier. I knew I had a lot to prove, and a lot to learn. Though some of what I had to learn I didn't even realize. For example, I didn't anticipate how embroiling it would be to work with my father. Most of my learning came through on-the-job experience, many times with pains and frustrations attached. After I'd been in the business for a year or two, I realized that I needed to understand much more about how our organization was structured. How would leadership transition be handled? What plans were in place for long-term succession? What are various tax implications and structures? I was becoming increasingly engaged in thinking about the future of Premier, and I could see that the answers to questions like these would have a huge impact on that future. I asked to see the documents governing these matters. That kind of access is one of the privileges you get when you're one of the family. Well, they were somewhat vague, confusing, and lacking. Of course, they were legal documents, so there's that. They reflected Premier's century-old origins as a family enterprise, like many family businesses in which major decisions were handled informally via dinner table conversations, a not uncommon phenomenon. They didn't clearly address some of the real-life contingencies that could easily arise, creating the possibility that an unexpected emergency could create significant turmoil. When I raised these matters with my father, he would usually say that everything was fine and shuffle away. The shuffle, my father's signature move. I love it. Cute, clunky, and muffled. In this instance, a non-confrontational way of dealing with something by not dealing with it. He was generally happy for me to handle it if I so choose. These legal matters were the sort of nuanced, sometimes tedious business details that my father hated to get mired in, regardless of how important they might be. Truth be told, my father has always been far more drawn to the other side of his personality, his love of Hebrew scripture and tradition, and his work as a scholar and rabbi. He is amazing at that. He is not as passionate about running the family business, though as a respectful son, he took on that responsibility out of love for his father. But I knew that this structure had to be modernized, and I was both equipped to tackle the assignment and the only person willing to take it on. I think that was the biggest reason I got the job. The fact that nobody else wanted it or thought that it was terribly important. It would be intense, detail-oriented, challenging work, which nobody really loves. Oh, and another thing. I was also the only member of the family who didn't hate dealing with lawyers. Under the circumstances, reframing our company's governance documents so as to ensure our sound footing for future generations became my project. The job took almost a year. I spent countless hours with our company lawyers, drafting, redrafting, and debating the contents of legal documents. One by one, the essential clauses fell into place, creating a clear, tightly organized business structure that could withstand any unforeseen economic or family crisis. The revisions we created would also save significant amounts of money that might otherwise go to taxes, legal fees, and other needless expenses. As we worked our way through the process, I tried to explain these benefits to my father, who remained uninterested. That was okay with me. I pressed on. Finally, the day came when the documents were ready to sign. The key family members with ownership stakes, my paternal grandparents, my dad, and my aunt, gathered with our small team of lawyers for the event at my grandparents' house in Penn Valley, a suburb of Philadelphia. I felt excited and gratified, knowing that we had come to this important moment in Premier's trajectory, a turning point that would solidify the company's structure for generations to come. The papers were passed around the dining room table, and pens were circulated for the signing. Everyone signed and started gathering their things to leave. "Good job," I said to the group. "I'm glad that we got this done. Plus, we just saved a lot of money." As I spoke, there were smiles and nods around the table, but my father simply turned to me, his face blank, and said, "That's great, Julie. Now go pick out a dress for your grandmother to wear to dinner tonight." Whoa, that sucked. Now, don't get me wrong, I would do absolutely anything for my grandmother. Plus, picking out clothes with her or for her was one of my favorite things. You should have seen her closet. Still, to quote my favorite movie, My Cousin Vinny, yes, it's true, all will become clear as you read on. As Mona Lisa Vito said, maybe it was a bad time to bring it up. Maybe that was my dad's way of showing me that he still didn't care about the legal underpinnings of our business. Maybe it was his way of diminishing me. Maybe he just really wanted Graham to be ready on time. I don't exactly know what he meant.